Let's bring up Bernie Sue right now to talk about Lizzie Bennet Diaries.
You want that side?
Yeah, because they mic'd me on my right.
I like it. I like the photo you chose. Thanks.
I cropped it in a fun way. Right?
Yeah, I appreciate that. From 2009. Yeah, I got it. All right.
Bernie, when you first meet Bernie, he's always showing up in some funky, cool pair of glasses. Actually, your glass is free today.
There, it's over there on the table.
On the table? Oh,
yeah,
I
thought
you
they would.
should have told me. I would have taken mine off too.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I wouldn't have seen you though.
Well, I'll take the trade.
All right,
it's fine.
Great. Well, we have a reel, so I just want to get everyone's minds wrapped around what Bernie has really accomplished with Lizzie Bennet Diaries. So let's play the video and we'll dive right in.
The Lizzie Bennet Diaries is a modern adaptation of Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice, told through YouTube and dozens of different social network sites. But unlike every other show with a Twitter account, the Lizzie Bennet Diaries uses social media to create a vast, connected world with characters that engage the audience on an almost daily basis. Lizzie is a 24-year-old grad student with a mountain of student loans and a mother who only cares about one thing, marrying her off, along with her sisters, Jane, the sweet one, and Lydia, the wild one. Lizzie keeps a vlog with the help of her best friend, Charlotte.
Seriously?
And then the other characters from Pride and Prejudice begin showing up. Mr. Bingley is now a handsome young medical student, and his friend, the insufferable Mr. Darcy.
Darcy, bot malfunction.
Darcy? Genuine?
Darcy didn't appear on camera for the first 60 episodes, but when he finally did, the audience went bananas.
Well, this should be good.
You're filming.
If you've got something to say to me, you say it here and now.
Lydia starts her own vlog with her cousin Mary and her cat, Kitty. A handsome swimmer named Wickham comes to town and is nothing but trouble. Lizzie follows a school assignment to a company called Pemberley Digital, which just happens to be owned by Darcy, where Darcy's sister Gigi and his friend Fitz keep throwing them together. And their feelings start to change. But then Wickham has a sex tape of Lydia, and Darcy and Gigi save the day, and, well, you know how it ends. Altogether, the Lizzie Bennet Diaries filmed over 150 video episodes across 5 different YouTube channels with over 9.5 hours of video. And the story spread across 35 social media sites that conveyed vital story content and major plot points and created a bond between the characters and the audience that made the Lizzie Bennet Diaries one of the most popular multi-platform shows of all time, amassing over 40 million views on YouTube. The show won awards for interactive excellence and knocked Colin Firth off as the internet's most popular Darcy and created a record-breaking Kickstarter campaign. And most importantly, assembled an army of fans who are now clamoring for more interactive multi-platform content.
Lizzie Bennet, I'm in love with you.
Do you ever get tired of watching that?
No, not yet. Ask me again next year.
So tell us, what is this? Is this a web series?
I mean, part of it is. I think if anything, it's a kind of the true definition of web as the prefix of web series, because it uses all the platforms. It's not just video. I mean, it's primarily video, but it uses so many platforms, as you saw in the reel there, to kind of tell an enhanced story, and thus uses the World Wide Web, if you want to.
So the characters talk to camera, and that's how the story unravels.
Yeah, the characters are aware that the camera is in the world, so they'll come into the room and they'll look at the camera, not unlike The Office, not unlike Modern Family. There's a camera in world. It just, in our world, one of the characters has physically put the camera there. And so, you know, a lot of the time in our narrative, the characters will come in and be like, what are you doing? And then you have to bring them in and they kind of change they stand up straighter and like, all right, we're all part of the story together. And thus, because of that, the social components are able to be a little more genuine because they all are aware they're in a show.
Got it. All right, so I'm watching, say, Lizzie talk to camera on YouTube, and then I send it to a friend, and they can send it around. So it's really about social sharing is how the show gets out to the world.
Exactly. And it's also about, like, we use this a lot in the narrative, where different characters didn't know about the videos until much later in the narrative, by design. And it may be a little contrived, but it actually kept the story intact, and we use that for plot points. So, for example, the clip you saw with Darcy and Lizzie, at that point, Darcy didn't know what the camera was there for. She just thought she was recording a video. She didn't realize that she was putting it out into the world. And at that point in the narrative, it completely changed the entire framework of Jane Austen's piece, because now Darcy can actually go back in time, watch all the videos that are on YouTube, and kind of experience it fresh and go like, wow, this girl really hates me.
Oh, okay, so that's right, that informed the storytelling, the actual fact that there was social media happening around the character.
Exactly, exactly. So it all is like this huge house of cards that we kind of built up of knowledge that we had to kind of pay back every time when a new character discovered the videos, and thus was able to kind of, what's happened since then?
So did you know that you were going to use all these social media platforms to tell the story and what each character was going to tweet, and how architected was this?
We knew from the beginning that we were going to use Twitter as our primary conversational platform. So there are 13 characters that appear on screen, and all 13 have Twitter accounts. And all 13 characters have Twitter accounts in the 5 digits, so followers. So, and there's no promotionary follow jacking or anything. They're only following 5 or 10 accounts, so all those followers are either spam bots or they are genuine fans. So yeah, we did that on purpose to give the opportunity for us to do 2 things. One, to have the characters interact with each other, so the fans could get expanded content between the characters in between episodes. So, you know, if you and I are talking about a wedding this weekend, we don't show the wedding, we talk about the wedding, and we talk about the wedding afterwards on a video. But we can actually tweet about the wedding and show pictures from the wedding and so forth to kind of give the fans this feeling that this is actually a real world thing. You know, it's a little weird if you and I were going to a wedding, we started recording it. It's kind of strange. You know, so, and since the camera is her camera, we were able to kind of build that in. But not every platform we knew we were going to do in the beginning. You see Pinterest on this list under the 35 social media profiles. We didn't know we were going to use Pinterest until it started making sense to use Pinterest. Lookbook we used pretty early because I wanted to try a fashion component with the show. And Twitter, Facebook, and Tumblr were just where our fans were. So we knew we were going to base most of the show.
And so is there a map back at your office of all of this?
There are a lot of spreadsheets and a lot of calendars. So yeah, I mean, you saw on this, if you caught the reel, there's a part where we use LinkedIn. I mean, we just very quickly used it. There's no map of the LinkedIn arc for that character. We used OkCupid. There's no map of the OkCupid arc for that character. But those are destinations where you can go and interact with the character and talk to them.
And this is, I just want to show this because this is fascinating to me. If you can go to the next slide.
I think, yeah.
Yes, the parallel storytelling. So really tracking each character across all the different social media platforms over the course of, how many months did it run?
12 months, you see, right there on the slide.
Yeah. So tell me about some of the thinking here, because it's just fascinating.
So when you have all the platforms, and you have them all from characters' points of view, your Twitter, my Twitter, in this case, Lizzie, Lydia, and Gigi's Twitter, these are 3 of the characters from the show. So one of the things we do in our storytelling is that we don't punish you. If you don't want to lean in and dive down to all this content, if you just want Pride and Prejudice as a YouTube series, you get that. You can go to Lizzie's videos and just watch 100 videos, take 7.5 hours. It's the longest version of Pride and Prejudice ever, and you will get that. You will get that story. But we encourage you to dive down, and here's what you get. In the example here, Lydia and Lizzie in the narrative are physically in the same house for the first 4 months of the narrative. So there's no reason to spin her off. You can see what Lydia's tweeting, but there's not a big split. But at month 4, we split her off. We give her own YouTube channel, as was mentioned in the reel, and then we show what she's doing for that month in the narrative. And this is something that no other adaptation of Pride and Prejudice has ever done. It's one of those things when I read the book, I went, what the heck is this character doing for this month when she's just gone? I want to know, and I just figured, well, I'm going to answer this question in my version, and I'm going to show you what she's doing for that month. She comes back in month 5, as you see, leaves again in 7, comes back in 9, leaves in 10, comes back in 11. And for Gigi, this is Darcy's sister. Those of you know the story. Darcy's sister doesn't appear until the final act of the show, or the story. And so in our narrative, she doesn't appear until month 10, as you can see in this slide. So we actually give you 10 months of real-time Twitter content that just showcases what the girl is going through, getting over this heartbreak of this man who broke her heart, and as she recovers through music and through Twitter for 10 months before she finally appears in month 10, and then we spin her off on her own channel in month 11. So what does this mean? You really could experience the show from 3 different characters' points of view in real time. And from the perspective of the audience member, you can experience it in many different ways. You can go all the way down the top line, Lizzie's line, and then come back and then see what Lydia was doing this whole time, and then come back again and see what Gigi was doing this whole time. Or you can just go up and down in real time, which you can do on our website, which has the timeline story in chronological order. So it's really just it's an option for, it's not choose your own adventure, as we've heard in the space before. It's more like choose your own perspective.
Got it. Now, what I love the most about what you have done, and we've been getting into this conversation all morning about audience building and finding those influencers that then become your advocates for your brand or your show. So can you talk a little bit about audience development? Because I know that was key with using all these social media platforms.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's getting, it's identifying the superfans and bringing them into the story and the narrative. So because Lizzie and all these characters are in world and thus in our universe, when you as a fan tweets at the character, this is not the actor, you tweet at the character can respond to you, and we're selective. We don't respond to things that will break narrative, but we'll respond to things like what's your favorite color, and we may throw that in there. Or if like in the narrative, she's secretly seeing this guy, we would actually respond to that. And she's like, yeah, actually I am seeing this guy. And then and it'd be like this mind-blowing thing to the fans where they start retweeting this one tweet because it's a big plot point. And in the next video, we show the guy. So
you can really respond in real time to your fans and then come back a week later with content that satisfies some of what they're asking for.
Exactly. I mean, one of the things we did a lot it's also, as our show is very fluid, as I like to say, when fans ask Lizzie things on Twitter, on Facebook, there's just questions, just questions to the character. We would actually mine those questions and then shoot a video answering those questions in character. It's not the actor, it's the character answering the questions. And we would call out the fan who's asking the question. So of course, it got really exciting for the fans who got their questions asked. And of course, those questions, we would do our best, because we're storytellers, to make sure that those answers revealed character and or plot. And usually the best ones, I think we did this on every one of our Q&A episodes, actually revealed plot in what is supposedly just an interactive Q&A video.
It's just genius. So now you're going to be launching another series, and you can take all the data of all the Twitter followers and the Facebook likes and all this data that you built off of these social media networks and use that almost as a loyalty program to message out to all the Jane Austen fans to tell them you're launching Emma.
Yeah, exactly, totally. I mean, we know, not only we know, of course, we have Jane Austen fans, but we know what type of fans they are. Our audience is, as you saw on the first slide, maybe you didn't see it, it's 90% female, and the total audience is 70% female under the age of 25. That's not 70% of the females, it's 70% of the total audience is females under 25. And so we know what our audience is. We also know that, all women aren't the same. They're the women who...
Thank you for understanding that, Bernie.
Thank you. All women aren't the same.
I want you to call my husband later.
Well, I think a lot, I'm not saying anybody in particular, but I've heard a lot of people like, oh, just do beauty and fashion stuff and the women will flock to it. I'm like, that's not really true. A lot of women will, sure. But a lot of our audience are kind of what we'll just describe as the literary, smart, intelligent, not intelligent, but literary, and they're the nerds in a very positive way of saying it. They're the bookworms of when they were in high school. So those are the ones who are our fans. They're really smart. They love things like Harry Potter and like BBC shows and musicals and Disney, and we get a sense of what type of fashion even they like. I mean, yes, everyone wants to look good,
Right.
So even we can actually tailor our characters and tailor the content to those fans because we know that's our core.
And this brings up, I think, a great point. When you talk to Bernie, he is one of the few creatives, writer, producer, directors that talks about monetization early on. So Bernie's sitting there going, okay, this is the story I want to tell. Now, how do I make money off of that? And not in a cold, callous, I want to buy a big house. I mean, yes, you do want to buy a big house.
It'd be nice.
Yes, exactly. But thinking more about it from, this is a business. And so talk a little bit about this, because this is fascinating.
Yeah, sure. And it's just to clarify, it's like I am, by trade, I'm an artist first. And I think a lot of when I was hearing about some of the panels earlier, a lot of you were you're business people working with artists. We're in entertainment. This is the entertainment summit. It makes sense. I like to think of it as I'm an artist who wants to understand and be able to maneuver the business so I can create more art. And so this slide, it kind of exemplifies one thing about this web series or multi-platform series. This series has 5 revenue streams today, and this series launched maybe 18 months ago. 18 months ago. And I remember we talked about this slide, Lori, and I said that if you and I did an independent film today,
Yeah.
we would have 0 revenue streams tomorrow until we actually sold it,
Right,
for distribution. So this show, which launched in April 2012, had 5 revenue streams, not at the very beginning, but it grew into that. So, and here they are. Advertising, YouTube AdSense, we know this. It's, you show an ad, you watch the video, you see an ad, we get a cut. Merchandising, you can see at the bottom of the screen here, we got posters, teacups, journals, and things. Those do pretty well for us. Third is the affiliate marketing. This is a little complicated, but it's basically the characters wear a dress. We do a deal with that company who has that dress. They give us a dress. We link to them. You go to a direct sale page. We've sent tens of thousands of people to a dress. We've sold out dresses, depending on how expensive that dress is and how nice of a dress it is. But we've done it. And so we get a cut of that. And so that's made us a good amount of just supplemental income. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, DVDs, which is about the Kickstarter, something where we didn't know we could sell a DVD in 2013 for a web series that's available for free online today and probably in perpetuity. But the fans wanted a DVD, so we said, well, all right, we're going to kickstart a DVD program. If we sold 1,000 DVDs, it's worth making this DVD. And so we asked for $60,000. We raised $462,000.
That's crazy.
That's $400,000 over the goal. And what that meant, what that came down to is that there's a perk that says you put in $55 or more, you get the box set. It's 9.5 hours. It's not one DVD. It's a box set. So it's kind of expensive. And we sold 5,800 of those DVDs for, again, a show that's available for free online today.
So were you mobbed at VidCon? Because you're exactly who they would mob, right?
Well, I personally, or like the cast?
Your cast was mobbed.
The cast couldn't walk more than 15 feet without being approached by someone.
Right, because people were, I was reading some of the blog posts about, I can't get to VidCon, I've tried to sell everything in my room, or my parents aren't letting me go. People were like nuts about getting there and meeting your folks.
Well, again, like I said, the audience is 25 and under. So these are college kids, right out of college, high school kids, and I mean, young adults and adults, but like they aren't established in their careers yet. So they're not making a lot of supplemental income where they can go off on these conferences and have a bunch of fun. So they had to really scrap and scrape around to make it happen.
You have to dig into reading some of these stories about how they got to Anaheim for VidCon. But let's see, I have a few more minutes. I'm sure you guys have some questions because what Bernie's done is just so innovative and obviously Emmy award winning, and you're going to take this format with you to new projects like Emma. Sure. Right? Yes. So it's something that you're really banging on in the future, that you believe in, this kind of structure for storytelling.
I mean, I see why it works. It plays the connected generation so well because the connected generation, they're not used to, or they're getting to the point where they're not used to not being able to touch and go forward in the narrative.
Right.
We've done it. We've seen them going. We've offered it to them. Where we as an industry have offered you want to know more about this actor, you can go on IMDb. You want to know more about this item, you can go to this direct sale page. But to actually give you more narrative in the connective, in the kind of the transmedia or the supplemental content, that's what I think they're finding. Like, our transmedia conversion rates are in like, we're talking about 70% sometimes with the audience. I mean, 70% goes down one level. That's unheard of.
So it goes into the different platforms?
Yeah, exactly. 100% top level, 70% come down one level, and then maybe you lose another 40%.
Which is marketing funnel language, really.
Yeah, exactly.
They're getting deep. It's just fantastic. So do I have any questions out there for Bernie back there? Yeah. Oh, not even just one little tiny one.
Sorry, I don't have a tiny one. Jonathan Tabb, Scarlet Strategic. First of all, great job with this. Relating to what we might be looking at in terms of marketing and a content schedule, all that storytelling strategy for an entertainment product. How much, you talk about all the changes and things that you did. Of the 100% now that you're complete with that first title, when you started, what percentage of that did you have in mind? Like, did you lock, this is what we're doing? Because it seems like there were a lot of things that grew. You talked about lookbook, but what else? Like, I imagine there's a lot of things that grew as you got in and saw this is really cool. And it was great that you were able to, I would believe you were very agile. can you assign a percentage to what you envisioned at the beginning as opposed to what you got at the end?
Amongst my transmedia peers, they go like every line you drop down, every level you drop down, you lose 50%. So if you lost 50%, all right, we'll deal with that. We didn't lose 50%, we lost 30%.
I'm talking about the outlets, the platforms that you were using.
Okay, sure.
How much did you invent as you went along?
Yeah, there's a lot. I'll give you one good story, and we can wrap this up. It's a good one. So this show actually has a discovered character in it. And what happened in around, we'll call it month 9, I'm just going to speculate. It's later in half of the story. There's 2 characters that come about who really just serve plot points in the book. There's like, you are here to present information, and you are here to present that the Darcy character is not a complete idiot or like heartless. He cares about someone. He has a sister. That's all they do in the narrative. Well, they do a little more, but basically that's all they do. We introduced these characters for these 2 purposes. But because we introduced them so well, apparently, the fans loved them so much, and they decided, you know what? These 2 characters must know each other, because they both know Darcy. So they started making all this fan fiction about these 2 characters knowing each other. So what did we do? We were like, we see this. We're like, if we did this doesn't affect our core narrative. Let's just do it. Let's just start having them talk to each other on Twitter. Sure enough, they did. It became one of the most popular things that we did. We spun them off. We spun off these 2 characters into their own, the GG miniseries I talked about, into their own little spin-off. It was 6 videos. We just wrote it really quickly. We shot it in a weekend, and it did 1 million views in 3 weeks. It was incredible. Like, it was one of those things like talking to Deck, our investor, it's like, can you just give me like $4,000 to shoot this thing? I won't even pay myself. I just want to shoot it. Like, just give me day rate.
The fans wanted it.
Yeah, because
right.
the fans, I wanted to see if this was going to work. I want to know if this works. And it clearly did. It basically earned out everything in 3 weeks. That's crazy to me. So.
It's a whole different way of working.
Yeah,
right?
totally. It's just kind of like, here's an opportunity. We got to go now, or we can't do it.
Great. So if you want to find out more about what Bernie's up to, can they order the DVD set or go to Lizzie Bennett anymore?
They can go to LizzieBennett.com. You can follow me on Twitter @BernieSue. I'm around. I'm pretty easy to find on the internet. There's not many Bernie Sues out there.
And he'll be around for a little bit today?
For a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.